Chris.
Hello.
We've got a lovely black 911 here.
We have.
Thanks for bringing it down. I thought this would be a really interesting perspective because, quite simply, you run an independent Porsche specialist, and as an independent Porsche specialist, you'll have an insight into 911 ownership that we don't have. So I thought it would be interesting to bring down the car. So your special, it's right tune, isn't it?
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
It's right tune. And so this is what would you call this? Is this like a workshop car, a project car?
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to buy one for a while, and we bought it last year with the idea to showcase what we can do and also enjoy it, and have one that we can modify rather than. My father owns a 3.2 Carrera that's mint and immaculate. Not one stock car. You don't want to change it. Whereas I wanted to modify it.
Wanted to do something a little bit more personal.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. Okay, so it's quite a fun juxtaposition. So you've got two 3.2s, one modified and one complete standard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this is obviously, I mean, it's a little bit modified, and we'll talk about that, I hope, in a bit. But I want to go far more extreme.
Oh yeah.
But I watched one of your things, and I think you're quite right with one of your other episodes. You want to drive the car first and use it for a bit before you start going bonkers and start ripping it to bits.
Yeah.
Plus, I'd like, just from a personal point of view, enjoy the summer if we ever get one.
So why do you think that's important to you?
With regards to what?
Yeah, just driving it around for a while before you decide what you're going to do.
Because I think I jump in a lot of cars,
and
I don't actually really ever spend that much time driving one because it's a simple, normally a road test. I don't.
Yeah.
So I thought I'm actually going to put a lot of time into driving it and think long and hard about what I actually want, and to try and do something maybe slightly different than what you see a lot of other people
So it's that
doing.
gestation period you want to figure out what you actually want to do with the car.
Yeah, and I'm sure that if you think about it, I think with a lot of problems too hard, it doesn't usually come that easy to you, does it? Yeah. So I thought, no pressure, just relax, enjoy it over the summer, and then maybe towards the end of the summer, towards winter, we'll start doing some more serious work to it.
I think the other side of it that's good is like not only about taking the time before you start working on a car you've just bought, modifying it. I think it's good not only for you to have that gestation period to figure out what you want to do, but in my mind, I always think it's a good idea because then you'll figure out all the things which are potentially wrong with the car and spend money on fixing those things to get a good baseline before you go start spending money on shiny bits.
Exactly.
Would you say there's some merit to that?
Yeah, of course, because we've had cars before where obviously they might bring them to you and you strip it, and you don't know there is an inherent problem somewhere because you haven't actually used it, whereas I can see what falls off this first, can't I? It should. I'll get a good idea.
And hopefully it'll be old parts and not shiny parts that you just bolted on. Yeah. Okay, cool. Right, well, let's get down to it. So we've got a 3.2. What year is the car?
84.
It's an 84 car, so 915 gearbox.
Yeah, it's an early car.
Yeah.
So interior is not my forte, but I believe it's got like the SC type seats, which is slightly lower.
Yeah, slightly tombstone seats. Yeah.
But because the earlier 3.2s, the where the seat mounts is higher. So yeah, it's not too good because you end up basically, especially someone like tall like me, it feels like you're sat like on top of the car.
Right, yeah.
So that's one of the things I'd like to do is to modify.
Well, let's talk about the interior. We always start with the outside of the car, and actually it'd be quite fun. Well, since we broached the subject, we might as well go into the interior.
Wow.
So so these are the earlier tombstone style seats. So I guess the differentiator, is that the right word? Have I just made up a word there? I don't know. What makes them more identifiable as an early seat, my understanding, is the squarer top of the headrest and the squarer bolsters. Is that right?
I believe so. As I said, it's not my forte interior. We don't do a lot apart from we would repair, but we're not a trimmer. But I'm led to believe that this is an SC seat. The one we've got on the later ones, like I think when did is it the Pasha style, the black and white? That's late. Is that later? Or was they had some of those in the 70s, though, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. To be honest
I only know. Yeah, there's a lot of pinstripe and like material pattern ones, and like I said, they sit higher, and only on the later 3.2s they lowered the.
Interesting.
So it's a better seating position as they got later.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, the interior is.
So at some point or
Very
another, these
original.
seats were brought in from an SC.
Or that would have possibly been fitted because they had them left in the factory line around because it's an early 3.2.
But is it the same colour leather? Because it looks like there's a slight difference in.
I really don't know. I really don't know.
Okay, fine.
So, yeah, but we've had that. It's interesting because like they do sometimes use on some of the cars. They do use older stuff if they had it lying around. So, for example, there is one car we look after that's a G50 chassis. It was made to fit a G50 gearbox. Because the chassis is different to take a G50 gearbox, but it's got 915 fitted, and we've checked with Porsche, and that's how it left the factory and how it should have been.
Interesting. Okay, fair enough.
This has obviously been
Sorry, I've
changed.
just jumped in without asking.
You're welcome.
I hope it's okay that I've helped myself. Yeah, this is a lovely steering wheel. So what is this? It's a Mod 7, right?
Is it not?
See, I think it's the Momo Mod 7, but it's the Porsche or the GT3 edition that came with the engraved
you can buy
Porsche
that
script.
from Porsche, yeah.
And the Momo is in black as opposed to yellow. I don't think they make this one anymore.
I don't think you can get it anymore, but yeah, it was purchased from Porsche.
You bought it from Porsche? Yeah, yeah, nice. Yeah, yeah. So where did you find the wheel?
I don't know, Porsche Reading.
Okay, how long ago have you had the wheel? Because I think it's been quite a while now since it's been discontinued.
I got it just over a year ago.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Okay, I thought it was more than that. Yeah, because these come on like a serious premium over the standard wheel, and when you think about it, actually it's exactly the same wheel. The only difference is just the Porsche script, really.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I didn't realise
As
that.
the Mod
I
7.
honestly didn't know they'd been discontinued. Up until recently, I was thinking you could get them.
Maybe they've started remaking them again. Anyway.
Yeah, well, I think, or maybe it was a very similar wheel. You could get them from Porsche or like some of the other aftermarket sales places supplied them as well.
Okay. And so has this been retrimmed or is this a standard trim?
No, it's just how it was.
Yeah, so this is a new trim. I've never seen this trim before on this edition of Mod 7. Normally this would be something else. I can't remember. It's just it looks slightly different to me. Anyway, but why did you go specifically for this wheel? What were your thoughts?
I just was looking through the parts catalogue, and also, yeah, I mean, I just looked on the PET, like the part system, and it was on there. So I didn't even know the name of it. Like you came up with, I gave him a part number.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough.
So, which I can't remember off the top of my head.
No, you can't remember.
No,
okay, I won't quiz you on that.
Number.
Yeah, yeah, but they are a great wheel. I mean, slightly smaller diameter and what's called slightly more offset, so closer to you.
Yeah,
Bring
it's just
everything
a
little bit
slightly
closer.
different driving position. It is a smaller position. Yeah, different driving. Hang on, I'm getting all confused there. It's a different
Driving position.
Driving position. That's what I'm looking for. The original wheels big, a lot bigger, with like a bar in the middle, Porsche written on it. It does make it slightly heavier because obviously you've got less. Well, you've got less like moment of force, haven't you? And so. That is some people don't like that. I just personally, it's a better driving position for me, and it gives me more leg room because I've got.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess that there's more leg room now. There's more space between the dash.
And when you're going along, it's not so bad. It's more just manoeuvring or slower speed. The steering is a little bit heavier.
The only thing I found is the first time I installed one of these, because I'm running one of these in my 993, is I kept missing the indicator stalk. Because suddenly the wheel is a little bit closer towards you, and you haven't got the same reach. Yeah,
I didn't really think about that.
But
it's quite fun. That's good though as well, because a lot of these old like 80s dashes, you see them all worn because all the geezers in the 80s all had loads of rings on, and they're all doing this, and so you get this. It's a lot of damage. So not that I don't have that issue, but anyway, it's keeping my hands away from the dash.
Okay, so note to self if you ever
the original wheels are, like you said, it's very close to the stalk and very close to the dash.
Yeah.
And that does bring that back.
Right, so if you ever give me the privilege to drive this car, remember to get all my Magpie stuff off before I start driving it. Okay, cool. This is really cool. So you've got what's called all the the old tapes.
This are the old tapes, and I think there's the previous owner's tape collection in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, there is a few things. And okay, let's have a look at what we've got now. I'm curious. Oh, look at that. It's an actual, what do you call it? It's a mixtape as well. Oh. All Saints, The Verve, Urban Hymns.
I think we've
got
got
that's
George
all the
Michael
90s,
in there
isn't
as
it?
well.
Is that
I think,
90s?
unfortunately, the tape player has actually packed up.
Has it? Yeah, it still looks cool though. You wouldn't want to change it. Or
I
at
don't
least
know
you
if we
certainly
could
wanna keep it.
utilise that in some way so it'd actually have some function but still look. The tape.
The tape thing.
I'm going to speak to my trimmer and see if he's got any ideas or something fun we could do with it.
Yeah, but it's such a staple of the period. I wouldn't want to fuck with it personally. And I'm guessing this was probably some kind of factory option at the time.
We'll have to get some better mixtapes and All Saints in that case then if we keep it.
Yeah, fair enough. I was going to say, what are these red dots? Are they light up or anything? Or is that no, they don't look like they do.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Cool.
I'm not 100% sure to be honest.
I love this symbol on the early cars. A Zippo, you know, not just a flame, an actual Zippo, because that's what people used to light, you know, cigarettes and stuff.
Yeah.
Was a proper Zippo. It wasn't just.
There are quite a lot of fag
disposable
burns
bit.
in this car as well.
Are there?
Yeah, there's loads of holes here. Some in the.
Yeah, fair enough.
So obviously they were enjoying the.
Yeah. Yeah, to be fair, when I used to smoke, I remember I'd roll up a bunch of roadies before I started a car journey. And yeah, I used to smoke all the time while driving.
And then you'd ruin the seat or the.
Oh, I had worse than that. I had once the cherry, you know, the red amber, come off the cigarette. It flew down my shirt, and I was batting my chest like a gorilla, trying to extinguish this thing on me. It was fucking painful. Yeah, you look like a right knob in a Porsche with back, you know. Yeah, looking like a gorilla. Anyway, cool. So the car's a 84 year. Where did you find it?
So it's like pretty. Well, it's I think it's quite an interesting story. So it's a fairly long one. Mm-hmm. So the short story is basically it came to us from France with the engine in another box in a million bits.
Huh. Okay.
And the car on its own. But this was. I used to race go-karts, and one of my rivals, weirdly, helped me out by bringing me a job, which was, he said, I've got a client. His business was taking people and their stuff, either moving them out of the French Riviera area or moving them to that area. He said, I'm moving someone back to England. He's got this car, but it's stuck in a body shop and the engine's in a million bits. And he said, I don't know what to do. And he said, well, I know just the bloke. So he rang me. I said, yeah, and I thought this is going to be, when a project comes to you, it's in bits, it's all there. It never is it? But unbelievably, it was.
Really?
Yeah, it was, all the bits were there. But this was for this previous customer. So we put all the engine back together and to a nice standard. Yeah, have a look.
Can I flip it open?
We did it this is in 2018.
Because I think I would hazard to say, from what I see from an outside perspective, and correct me if I'm wrong, obviously, that one of the things you guys are, one of the many things you guys are very good at, but for me, a standout thing that you guys really know your onions about, and the quality of your work shines through, is your engine rebuilds.
Yeah, we do quite a few of them.
A huge amount of detail work and all the replating and refinishing of all the parts and everything else.
And that's had that treatment done. It's been left outside quite a bit in previous ownership. So there are some like watermarks on some of it. So it's not immaculate, but consider it's been left out a lot in the last 6 years and it was done to that, then it's not really going to take much to bring it back to absolutely perfect. Obviously I've got like the standard, because we're doing it, it's got to be perfect. I like things I like the aesthetic to look as good as what we know the engineering and mechanically it is on the inside. I think it reflects that work. If it looks like it's been rushed on the outside, perhaps the inside has as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you totally.
So so anyway, we put it back together.
That's some beautiful detail work. And was there much that needed to be done on the engine? What needed replacing?
There wasn't that much wrong with it, really.
Okay, so I'm going to quiz you as a Porsche specialist, because like what's called the 3.2 engine is known for being one of the most robust air-cooled engines that's out there.
Yeah, ridiculously reliable. And
what do you tend to find needs doing on them when you're rebuilding them?
Usually the heads, the valve guides are worn, and so they just need them, and then refacing. Conrods resize on the big end usually. Sometimes you need to change the small end. Cranks, unless you've had a problem, they're good. They're really hard. Very rarely have to grind a crank. If you have to do that, it's usually because there's been a problem. So yeah, this is from memory and it's from 2018. I should have swatted up last night, but yeah, I think it just had the usual guides. It had the the rods resized, the crank was fine. I think it was in a French body shop, and I think they thought it had some sort of issue, but I think what they'd done is just overfilled it with oil, and it'd gone everywhere, and then they'd taken the heads off and then couldn't get it back together. But the problem the engine had is, you know, in dirty body shops when they're full of all that like grinding paste that's over everything, it'd been left like that, so it all got in everywhere. So we had to like debung a lot of it, clean all the oil ways out and all that, make sure all that sludge and dust and shit, because obviously if you didn't and it started up again, it'd be like grinding paste going through the engine. So yeah, we got it all back together. Client had it, didn't use it that much, had it for, well, up until last year.
Okay.
And then I got an email and he said, I'm thinking about selling the car, I don't really use it much. I'm having to pay storage, you know. Do you know anyone that wants to buy it? And I went, yeah, me. So we managed to strike up a deal.
Nice.
After a few months of negotiating, and then because I think like a lot of the time people will say they want to sell their car, and then when you go, yeah, okay, they go, but I don't really want to sell it.
Yeah.
And that happens quite a lot, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm just really pleased. Obviously.
So let's talk a little bit more about the engine, because like I said, like you guys do a lot of engine.
Well, we do
a lot of
some
engine
bespoke
rebuilds.
stuff, but this is like basically standard.
Completely standard.
Yeah.
And so talk to me about the experience of your experience in engine building, because Right-Tune's been around a long time, right?
Yeah, so me personally, I'll strip an engine, I do a few bits, but I'm not like the most hands-on guy. I've got guys that do it, and then obviously my father, who started off as an engine builder in the 70s, building Le Mans DFV engines, Formula 1 engines, and then moving over towards Porsche later on and doing GT3 2s, 935s, all that kind of stuff. GT1.
934s,
Yeah, all the real like sexy stuff he's done. So yeah, I've obviously picked up from that, and that's why, like, I think, like what you said, a lot of the influence, and although we're Porsche specialists, I think there's obviously a lot of them in the UK. Some have certain things that they do that they're more niche at. Like I said, interior is not really my thing, but yeah, I could talk to you about
engines.
This for quite a long time because we're doing a lot of engines and gearboxes. Yeah. So we. So
there's a long-standing history.
There's long-standing history,
for Right-Tune, yeah.
And so anything from standard stuff to like we do a lot of. At the moment, we do a lot of using 3.2 Carrera platform, 3.4.
3.5s.
Yeah. Throttle bodies, things like that, because it's a platform it's relatively straightforward to do that.
And do you prefer more the EFI stuff, or do you get involved with like the MFI stuff as well?
Both. We don't do loads of MFI because we don't have a proper machine to use it. If we do, then we'll take it to someone like Neil Bainbridge and get him to check it on his machine. We can adjust them and set them up, but I wouldn't be.
So you can build the engine, but the pump itself you'll have your outsource.
We build
which most specialists do, to be honest with you, because the kit involved to do that is some
serious.
It's
a lot of people have. There's only a few people that know what they're doing with the pump. True. But yeah, it's we'll do MFI engines. Don't do a lot with the don't do masses of EFI, but we do a few. At the moment, for example, we've got a 2.2T we're doing. We're doing a 2-litre cup type engine, and we are doing a couple of 3.4, which will be like on AP power throttle bodies. This, like my own engine, I was thinking about doing. I wanted to get some stuff done before this show year, but like normal, your own projects often.
What shows are you going to do this year, Chris?
Well, we're going to come to Megaphonics.
Great, perfect, that's it.
Is that what you're looking for?
I'm just trying to plug my own event
of course, Megaphonics. Yeah. So, and then...
What are you going to do? Flat 6? That's a good one as well.
Yes, that is another one.
Classics of the Clubhouse, that's a great one as
well.
That one PJ, as well. Who's been on this program.
Going to do that one with PJ. Do the Flat 6 one.
Nice. I'll be there as well. I'm hoping that this thing will actually be up and running. We got it up and running the other day, so yeah.
Oh, it's running?
It is running, finally. Yeah, that's a whole different conversation. Anyway, so you're doing Flat 6?
Flat 6, Classics at the Castle.
Classics of the Castle?
No, Classics at the Clubhouse, Classics at the Clubhouse. And
Megaphonics.
And hopefully like to go to Luft at Copenhagen.
Oh yeah, because they're in Europe this year.
I'd like to go there.
Yeah.
And I think after that
I would have
I'll
really
do a
liked.
few of PJ's coffee meetings as well, because
Yeah.
it's not too far from us in like West Berkshire. So we go to that. That's
It's really cool because I've got to be honest. There are a lot of Porsche specialists that don't necessarily get involved with the community or getting involved really with the fraternity. And actually, we met not through RightTune. We met as through mutual friends at car events themselves.
Yeah.
So you're really out there using the car and taking part in the community.
It's obviously there's work life and personal life, isn't there? So it's nice to relax and do your own thing. And yeah, sometimes you're like, bloody car industry or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's always been there. It's in my blood. Like I started racing go-karts when I was 9. And that wasn't because I got pushed into it anyway. I said to my dad, I want to go and race motocross. We went to a meeting and went, no, you're not. You're going to end up with metal in you and your mum's not going to be very happy. So we went karting, and then it's just a natural progression from doing that to then, I wanted to do racing more. Didn't quite work out, but it's obviously been, and I'm also massively interested in design and stuff, and I think a lot of people are interested in design and engineering. I think design and engineering, first of all, are two very close things. And a lot of people who are more artistic, I think, are attracted to this brand. I don't know why, because I'm not a psychologist, but
I think you're absolutely right, and I think that's what we try to tap into with Megaphonics. The idea is that our demographic aren't necessarily just Porsche guys. What they really are actually is they're design guys, they're engineering guys. They like design, they like reliability, they like quality. And those attributes are things that you can find in other subject matters as well, whether it's interior design, textiles, clothing, music, food, whatever it may well be. And those kind of things that our demographic are into are things that we try to represent in Megaphonics as well.
I agree. There was an artist.
Watches.
Yeah. There was an artist, or there is an artist, I should say, a sculptor called Theo Jansen. He says he's a kinetic sculptor. They use BMW used him for a bit, and he says something which I think runs true, and it's a good, very simple saying. He says the difference between art and engineering exists only in our minds.
Only in what?
In our minds.
Okay. Yeah.
And I just thought it was quite.
Very astute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, let's get back to the car. So, car is black. And it was repainted in France, was it, before it came over here?
No, I don't. That's what I mean. I don't think it was painted. The paint's not perfect on it. It's had a little bit, like I believe, on the bumpers and things.
It looks pretty immaculate to me, to be honest. I mean, look down the side of it, it's straight as
arrow. If you look closely, it's not perfect.
Yeah, but then it's a black car as well, which is
a drama trying to keep it clean. So black, and then.
And in terms of bodywork, where do you find that these tends to go?
Sorry, where does what?
What does, in terms of bodywork, where do you tend to find that these tend to go?
Where they go? What do you mean?
As in, like, where does rust tend to? Where the problematic rust areas and so on?
Right. I thought. Okay, yeah. So there has been a few issues. I've had an inner sill issue with this.
Yeah.
So yeah, inner sills, sometimes out sills. Well, you can have it everywhere, can't you? But yeah. Sometimes in the front wing, around the screen.
Yeah, scuttles tends to be an area. And around the rear lights here as well. Because there is no wheel arch liners in these.
Yeah, if you drive this through salt and stuff, it will get into places you can't get to.
Sure.
And it will you'll never get it out. And also, these bumpers have been off and on recently. But if you try to take one off that's 20 or 30 years old, it's like, all the studs on the back of here will they'll all snap off. You won't. Yeah. It takes quite a long time to assemble one of these bumpers correctly. And that's when, Porsche changed for like 996 and you can bang it on really, really quickly. And these, I think they changed, didn't they, to make the car to be assembled very, very quickly on a production line. Whereas this, stripping and rebuilding one of these, it will all come apart, but it takes a lot longer. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a lot more to it, isn't there, with all the little rubber bits and so on. And so the car's sitting lower than standard. Talk to me about that. Anything suspension-wise?
Yeah, so the car, when we purchased it, was standard. And we've just done a few mods that are easily reversible as well, in case I change my mind. So we deleted the rear wiper, and then I just said to one of the chaps that works for us, Joe, I said, just lower it, but not to a silly point where you can't drive it anywhere.
Yeah.
But also because if you go too low, you end up having bump steer, and it affects the handling in an adverse way. I want to have some function. I don't want it to look really good, but be undrivable.
Yeah, of course.
So I said,
so standard torsion bars and bilge
it's
strains?
all standard, yeah. It's got the, it's got some slightly fresher dampers on.
Bilge strains?
Yeah. It's all fairly standard. And then I've had I personally like black wheels. I know a lot of people don't, but I just wanted them black, so I've done that.
I think black on black, it just looks mean. What do the kids call it? Murdered out, right?
I don't know, I ain't kid. Not anymore. But yeah. What else have we done?
So did you paint the wheels black?
Not personally, but they've been.
Okay, let me rephrase that, Chris. Has this been done under your tenure?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, fine, thank you.
I thought you meant have I done it with a can or something on my lunch break.
No, the finish looks, to be fair, if you'd done that with a can on your lunch break, that'd be a pretty impressive finish. Yeah. So now that we've assessed that it wasn't you that personally painted them, but it was done on your tenure.
Yeah.
And so what made you go with with a matte? Because obviously if you were going black, you could have gone for a gloss.
I just sort of, in my head really, I just thought it would be all right. I thought it would work well.
It does. It looks good. I think it's a bit more gnarly actually.
It's
a bit more punk rock. If it was gloss black, it would almost look unmodified in some ways. This looks like it's had a little tweak or two.
Yeah. I do like body coloured wheels. Really like that.
I think it's also like a shiny, glossy finish is like much more difficult to keep, especially on a wheel.
Yeah. The yellow lights, I just like the Euro look.
So these are just Euro lenses.
They're just some H4 copies, but yeah, it just and then real subtle. But the number plate the font's been changed to be like a 1980s style font.
Cool.
Just like sometimes like little tiny little touches, and I think there's a side silencer that runs along here, and that's had a delete. I mean, it makes in reality very little difference, but it's lighter. It does sound slightly better.
One thing that you alluded to was that you wanted to make some more modifications to the car, so you got to tell me about that. What are your plans?
Yeah, I will make a final decision at the end of the year, but definitely I want to completely strip and rebuild the whole car.
Completely strip and rebuild the whole car?
Yeah.
Right, wow, okay.
Nut and bolt. Engine and gearbox out. The gearbox needs a rebuild. First and second synchro is a little bit tight and awkward, but to my knowledge, it's never been apart. It's done over 90,000 miles. 93, I think it's on.
Okay.
The engine's fine. It's only really done, I think, about 800 or 900 miles since we rebuilt it.
Okay, so there's nothing to do there.
But I'd like to do a lot of modifications to it. So unfortunately, take it apart. Probably just do slightly bigger displacement.
Just to interject, if you're going to modify the engine and this one's just been rebuilt, I'm going to ask, would it not be just take the engine out, put it on the shelf, and grab another one that needs a rebuild?
Could be. That's not.
Yeah?
That is quite logical actually. It's possible.
I try.
Either way.
If you need any help in the workshop, you just let me know. I'm full of fucking ideas.
Yeah, but
anyway.
So. Yeah, I was just deciding what to do. I'd like to turbocharge it.
Oh right, okay, right. We're talking big balls now.
It's whether to do that, throttle bodies, or supercharge. But something. The thing is, with the throttle bodies, it just looks really clean and nice when you open the engine.
The only thing I would say about throttle bodies, and okay, let's get a bit geeky about it, is like you're onto throttle bodies. And to do that, you kind of want to increase the rev range. That's the whole reason why you put throttle bodies on there in the first place. So then you start ending up with an engine that's very peaky horsepower-wise, forged rods, and all the titanium springs and retainers and high lift cams.
Yeah,
and in a car, but in a car that's like still got like a full fat interior, is that 2 horsepower heavy and not torque? I don't know.
Yeah, what you're talking about, is like obviously drivability and you can chase a big horsepower figure, but in reality, like what you're saying is it's right at the top of the rev range and it's difficult to drive it like that on the road.
And in a car that's really light, like for example this one, an engine like that really works,
Yeah.
because you don't need that extra torque. But in a car that's got weight and that you're using in the real world where you don't know exactly what's coming up on every single turn and exactly what gear to be in, you're not always in the peak performance.
That's why I'm gonna like carefully consider what I do.
Yeah.
There was talk about, everyone got excited about making the flat front.
Ooh, okay.
so
That'd be
going
quite
quite
fun.
radical.
So flat front, but still narrow body.
No, I'd bring it wider.
Oh, you go wider as well,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be super gnarly.
It's just, I'd like to upgrade the brakes, the suspension, do the full retrim. But yeah, I mean, at the moment,
I'd go turbo.
yeah, it would be quite nice to do that because
Yeah.
obviously my father built a lot of big turbo
Yeah.
cars, so it would be quite fun to build an old school engine with a modern twist to it.
So what, like a 934?
Yeah.
No, sorry. A 3.4, 3.5.
Two big turbos hanging out the back, like
Yeah.
a 935.
With a nice blow-off pipe. Yeah. Yeah. You want to set it just a little bit lower so you can see it from behind. Yeah, yeah. Nice.
I don't know. It's just, it's that's. Well, I don't know whether to do a colour change. I think I won't. I think I'll keep it black. Although it is a pain.
The problem I
to
think I
keep
find
it
with colour
clean.
changes is if you do a colour change, I always feel like then you have to go the whole hog.
You've got to go.
There's- To me, there's nothing worse. and
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm going to upset a few people, but for me personally, I think there's nothing worse than when you open a bonnet and then it's a different colour underneath or inside the engine bay or the shot
Yeah, no,
lights.
I agree. It's not the best.
And black's such a cool colour.
Yeah, it is nice. But yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad really, considering not a lot really has been done.
So this could turn into a flat nose turbo,
Mongrel,
effectively.
it could do, yeah.
Flat nose 930 turbo kind of thing. Yeah.
So the thing is, I originally wanted to buy something that needed work, but it didn't seem economical because it actually wasn't that much more to buy something that was decent to start with. And as you know, with the metalwork can get carried away if you have to start putting things like floors in things. So it's a good solid base to start from. The other thing to look at as well is either going radical or going lots of subtle changes that, you know, it doesn't look actually that different from stock, but when you start going around, if you really know what you're looking at, you'll see lots of tiny little different details.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the other option is go turbocharged but keep it narrow body. At the end of the day, that's what Roof have done, isn't it? Time and again. Maybe that's a way to start, and then later down the line go wide body if you want to.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Well, blank canvas, a lot of fun to be had.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, dude, thank you so much for bringing in the car. Yeah, I think it's been really interesting having the perspective of a Porsche specialist, really.
You're welcome.
On the car, and yeah, and thanks for all the support over the years with Megaphonics and everything. So
It's all right. It's good to be part of it.
cheers, dude.